talk to you about a topic that is probably quite sensitive and controversial. And I don't want to be controversial about it, and I don't have a moral stance on what's right or wrong on this subject. But I was having a conversation with a lovely man this morning at a breakfast, and I really was thinking about this after our conversation, and I thought this is something I really would love to share with you because it's something I'm passionate about, and I've spent my career working with clients on, and I don't often speak about it in public, so I thought I might share this with you today. And this is all around the topic of medications, and medications in particular for conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression, anxiety, and perhaps weight loss, or polycystic ovarian syndrome, other hormonal conditions. And it's often really common that if you go to your doctor for any of these kinds of conditions, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, weight loss, anxiety, depression, that one of the first things a doctor will do is obviously they'll do some tests, hopefully. They'll do some blood tests, or if it's depression or anxiety, they'll do a particular qualitative test with you, which is a series of questions. So they test. Sometimes those tests require that you go away, get a blood test, and then you come back. Now, often what happens is the very next step, quite quickly, is the prescription pad gets pulled out. And I'm not having a go at anyone, and I'm not criticizing or condemning doctors for doing this, because this is the Western model of medicine and our belief system about how we treat conditions, is to medicate them. And it's very much part of our culture, and I'm not condemning it. I'm not saying it's wrong. And for any one of you out there who are taking a medication for any of these conditions and it feels right to you, awesome. You're doing the right thing for you, for your body, for what feels right for you, and what you as a unique and individual human being feel is the best path or plan of treatment for yourself. So there's absolutely no issue with that. But if there's any of you out there who don't quite feel reconciled about this, or you wanted to explore a medication-free option, this is for you. The man I was speaking with at breakfast this morning, the story he went to a dermatologist, and he was told that he had some skin tags, and the dermatologist suggested that he go and do some blood tests just to test and see about diabetes. And sure enough, he had his HbA1c tested, which is a 3-month blood test to see how, on average, over the past 3 months, have your blood sugars been regulated. And it gives a figure, and depending on the result of that figure, you'll be classified as diabetic or pre-diabetic or not diabetic. Now, based on this blood test result, this man was diagnosed diabetic. Interestingly, 6 months earlier, he'd had a medical and was completely clear. There was no sign of diabetes 6 months earlier. So, on the basis of this new blood test, his doctor then prescribed immediately metformin, which is the most common drug for diabetes or pre-diabetes or insulin resistance or anything along those lines. Even polycystic ovarian syndrome, metformin is prescribed. So, without questioning, this man has taken this drug, and it's 10 years later, he's been taking it ever since. Without question, his HbA1c has been well managed, so his diabetes is well managed, and there's been no further question or inquiry into it. And the interesting thing was, when he was prescribed this medication at that time, he was also offered, well, you're taking metformin for diabetes, you should probably take, it was either a drug for his cholesterol, to keep his cholesterol down, or for blood pressure. It was one or the other. And this man said, no, actually, that doesn't feel right for me. I don't want to be taking a medication for that. I'll just stick with the metformin. Thank you very much. And anyway, 10 years down the track, he's still taking this drug, and we were just having a general chat this morning over breakfast about his diabetes, and I asked him a few questions, and I said to him, well, have you looked at ever reducing the dose of your medication and, seeing, because he's taken he's made lifestyle changes to improve his blood sugar levels and his health in general, and he looks wonderful, he's doing well. I said, have you ever experimented with just reducing that drug a little bit, or thought about perhaps weaning off it altogether? And he was like, well, no, I hadn't considered that. And, it hadn't ever been posed to him as an option. And this is my experience as a practitioner. Many, many times people are not given the lifestyle options. They're not given an opportunity to make lifestyle changes before they're given these drugs to see if they can actually do it on their own through healthy lifestyle changes. In my career, it's been such a beautiful thing that I have been able to help people either, number one, avoid taking medications at all, or number two, weaning off them and just using lifestyle and mindset changes to manage their conditions. So the point of my video today is I want you to think about if you really need to be taking the medication that you may have been prescribed or might be posed to take. Do you really need to be taking it? Because there are lots of lifestyle modifications and changes that you can make. It doesn't mean you have to, but you could make if you did want to avoid or wean off medications. It's unfortunate or fortunate that pharmaceutical companies have a mega budget for marketing and for research, for proving how good their drugs are. They're multi-billion-dollar companies. They can put money behind anything to tell us how great they are, prove how great they are in their research and experiments and so on and so forth. And I want you to remember this, that farmers who grow our fruit and vegetables and, our livestock farmers that grow our lamb and, chicken and things like that, don't necessarily have the marketing or budget, like profit margins that pharmaceutical companies have to be able to say to us simple things like eating 2 serves of fruit a day will reduce your cholesterol, will help your weight management, it will improve your moods, it will stabilize your hormones, it will make you feel better, it will reduce your stress. They don't have a budget to say, eating 3 to 5 serves of veggies a day does all of those things, help to reduce cholesterol, manage weight, improve stress levels, so on and so forth. Things like mindfulness and meditation. Who has a marketing budget to be able to tell you the wonderful things that these practices can do for reducing cholesterol, blood pressure, anxiety, stress, depression? There are so many powerful lifestyle and mindset tools out there that we're not told about. And we do listen to our doctors. We trust our doctors. Personally, guys, I can tell you I was going through a really, really hard time a few years back, and I went to see my doctor because I wanted to do something about the stuck space I was in. I knew I was depressed and I wanted to get better, so I wanted to see somebody and talk to someone. And being a healthcare practitioner, I know that we have these things called enhanced primary care plans where we can get referrals to specialists, and it's subsidized by the government. So that was my intention in going along to the doctor. I went to the doctor, I told her I was depressed. She did the little qualitative analysis on me. Yes, you're depressed. Yes, and it was quite severe. Okay, next minute she pulled out her prescription pad and went to write me a prescription, and I said, hang on a second, no, I don't want to take drugs, I'm not here for drugs, I want to go and see someone, I know who I want to see, there's a psychologist I have in mind, I just know that I can work through this myself and I don't want to be taking drugs. And she was like, oh, okay then, and wrote me out this plan. But if I didn't know better, if I didn't say something, then and there I would have been prescribed a drug. Sorry, something happened with my recording. So I would have been prescribed a drug that I would have been taking for the rest of my life without question. You get prescribed this drug and, it's just the nature of the system that there isn't a lot of opportunity for your doctor to think about you and go, I might just follow up Bridget and see how she's going. She might not need to be on that drug long term. And, there's other options, doing meditation or mindfulness courses or reading books on mindfulness or, seeing a counselor or other stress management techniques or confidence building skills and so on and so forth. Going back to the man I spoke to this morning at breakfast, I said to him, well, there's, he said, I know another lady who refuses to take any kind of drug, but she really suffers for it. She can't do anything. She can't eat anything that she's not allowed to eat, and she can't, and I don't want to be like that. I'm happy to take a drug and just kind of, he was happy to compromise, and that's awesome. If you're happy to compromise and you don't, you want to be able to live and and take a drug and that helps you do that, that's great. That's right for you. The thing I said to this man was, oh, but it's so obvious to me that you are proactive and you're intelligent and you've made some changes, and perhaps you may not need the drug, even though you are living and having fun and not all strict and stringent, you still might not need the drug. So, it's something to think about. And I said to him, have you researched the long-term effects of taking these drugs? Because, he's not really old, and it's quite possible that if he continues on the path he's on, that he'll be taking this drug for 30 or 40 years. And have we looked at or considered what the effect on all of our other organs are when we take these drugs? Just think about this, guys, that, just teeny little milligrams of a chemical in our body can make such changes, a whole entire chain reaction of changes in our body. So if we are taking a drug day in, day out, we must think about the impact that is having on our body, not just on the symptoms that we're band-aiding, but on the rest of our body. It's like one drop of acid in, a glass of water is going to make it toxic. Just think about it. One drop of arsenic makes it toxic and deadly. Just consider it. I'm not saying that don't take your drugs. If it feels right for you and you feel good and you're living a life that feels amazing, then there's no problem. But if you are feeling like you're not just quite aligned with popping this pill every single day, then look at your options, explore your options, and exploring them just with your doctor alone may not be the best option. Look outside that realm, and ask other people what they've done. Look at other cultures, Chinese cultures, Indian cultures, Middle East. What do they do in other cultures to deal with the conditions that we're just medicating with the drugs, and we're just taking them like, good little robots. Here's a drug, take it. Okay, and we do. So there's so much I want to say on this. Just lastly, I will say another situation that I've had personal experience in with this is with the contraceptive pill. As a young woman who wanted to obviously avoid becoming pregnant, I started taking the pill when I had my first boyfriend. And, it wasn't until 10 years later that my body said to me, I don't want to take this anymore. And I didn't know why, and I didn't understand the logic, but I just knew my body strongly said, I don't want to take this drug anymore. And then, you know what, guys? Fast forward 3, 4, 5 years later, I still had trouble with my cycle. I couldn't get my cycle back on track. I have now been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and there's a big question mark over my fertility. I believe that I'll be able to conceive when and if the time comes. However, my doctors are telling me, there's issues with my ovaries and my fertility and so on and so forth. And I do everything I can to manage that with lifestyle techniques, including nutrition, exercise, but most of all the mind-body connection and my mindfulness and meditation practices and so on and so forth, and my self-love practices, the journaling, the self-exploration, looking at how I can be kinder and nicer and more at ease with myself. And, lastly, the last thing I want to say is one more thing that this man said to me is, don't forget the overriding impact of what goes on up here on the rest of our body. Despite what we do with nutrition, despite what we do with medications, despite what we do with exercise, this rules. This man said to me, I said to him, you realize, when you got diagnosed with diabetes, perhaps you've just been going through a stressful time of life, and your sugars were up. They were up a bit higher, and so when you went and did that test, the last 3 months your sugars have been running a bit high because you'd been stressed. He said to me, oh my gosh, yes. Every time I take my sugars, because he tests his sugars every day with his machine, if he's stressed, his sugars are much higher. So I want you to remember that stress, and wherever that's coming from, whether it's conscious or subconscious, is going to have an overriding impact and effect on our physiology, on our health, on our medical conditions. And by the same token, the exact opposite is also the case. Relaxation, peace, breathing, being calm, being present will have an overriding effect on other things that are going on in our body. So we can most definitely manage conditions, a lot of these conditions, with lifestyle mindset changes and by bringing more self-love into our life. But that's just my belief system. And all of this is my belief system. All of this is just my opinion, my perspective, and you are totally entitled to have a completely different one. All that matters is what feels right for you. If taking medications feels right, if using a combination of medications and lifestyle feels right, great. If using just lifestyle feels right, awesome. There's always at least 3 options, which is just medications and lifestyle change, and just lifestyle change. So, and there's a whole array of in-betweens in there as well. But I just wanted to bring up this subject because it is something I'm passionate about. It's something I've seen in my career over and over and over, is people ending up on these drugs and taking them forever just because it's what the doctor said. And then they start with 1 and they end up with 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5. You know, they're taking medication for their diabetes and 1 for their cholesterol and 1 for their blood pressure and 1 for their anxiety and depression. And there's just such a cocktail that ends up happening. So if you feel like this is something that's, you know, relevant to you or someone you care about, please consider it further and feel free to share this video further as well. You can contact me anytime with any questions you have on bridget@newleafnutrition.com.au. bridget@newleafnutrition.com.au. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also find me at my online home, which is newleafnutrition.com.au. I love hearing from you. I do what I do because I care and because I know the power of you and me and our bodies and minds, and the impact of our lifestyle and small little consistent changes that we can make that can absolutely revolutionize our lives. They can change them so powerfully. So if it's something that excites you, I would love to talk to you. You can contact me anytime, as I said, bridget@newleafnutrition.com.au. So I'm sending oceans of love your way, and I hope to hear from you soon. And have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Bye.